we are going to go over a portion of the video. You guys may have seen it. Let me go ahead and show you. And I want to start here. Has anyone seen this video, Convert Listings to Buyer and Agents at the Big Meeting? I texted this to you guys yesterday, okay? We're gonna go over a few minutes of it, but what I really loved about it is they talked about their value proposition. They talked about their resources. They talked about some scripting, okay? Then when I'm done, I am going to go over, so I compiled a lot of tools for you guys and links, and I want to share with you guys these tools and these links. Like this one, I don't think you guys have seen this one. Unless you have, tell me if you have. It's the 4 principles and do's and don'ts of the new rules. But here's the biggest thing. All things being equal, the person that's best able to explain the new rules wins, okay? So I'm also here to tell you, you guys are all in different states. Right now is the time to go into your state meeting, figure out when your state meeting is, make it a recurring meeting on your calendar and show up. Guess what? I was watching my meeting yesterday while I was working out. I had my computer there and I was working out. I didn't need to be, because it's in the world, right? I didn't need to be in Zoom. I didn't need to be on camera, but you guys have to make it a point to go to your state meetings. And why is that really important? Because the rules are changing. There's a lot of lawsuits happening right now, right? Colorado is still in a lawsuit. We are literally the only state that does not have to have a buyer representation agreement signed before we show property, okay? And there's a lot of changes happening. And when I went to a meeting the other day, there was an attorney in there and there was a broker, and the attorneys aren't even getting along. They don't know. Everyone's like disagreeing on things. So time is of the essence here. You have to be in your broker meetings. You need to read your rules. Your states are massive, have different rules. Every state's different, okay? So what you learn here may be different than what your state's teaching you, okay? But this is an overall, this is a meeting about the overall resources. The other thing I did is I bought these things here and we branded them, and I'm gonna have these for you, but these are about buyer compensation, you know? So I'm gonna go into, give you guys a link, and all you have to do is put your face in and put your branding. This is my branding. So there's about 5 of them that I've created, and I've changed some wording from commission to compensation. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the scripts and some of the things that I'm doing with the scripts that can help you guys. All right, there's a lot of things that we're going to go over, but first and foremost, I'm going to share this video. I'm going to stop it again because I want to share the sound. Oh, I guess like now, share sound. Okay, so I'm going to start it here. He is going to talk about Zillow Flex for a minute, and you guys just hang in there, because if you're on a team now, or if you're not on a team, you're not getting Zillow Flex. If you're on a mega team, you're getting Zillow Flex leads. But he's specifically going to talk about some of the verbiage, right? Because you guys, if you haven't already signed up for, you know, some of the buyer lead programs where you don't have to pay any money, you just get the leads when they call. This is pretty much like Zillow Flex. You know when I send you guys the email that says, hey, here's 15 buyer resources, sign up. This is the same thing, right? So if you get anybody calling you randomly, you're gonna have to have the same kind of conversation. So I'm gonna play this, and then while I play it, I'm gonna grab some coffee. So we're gonna start actually here.
So right from the first call with Zillow Flex, right, we're going through the script.
Just been so fun.
Yeah. And it seems to be working out really well for you guys. You've done a great job. And we were talking, and what's interesting is you don't really focus on buyers per se. You focus on listings, and the buyers come. Can you share a little bit about how your team generates your leads first off?
Sure. We do have a partnership, a Zillow Flex agreement. So I want to make sure that total transparency there. But with that, David, what's the percentage? It's like about 10% of our
Yeah, a little bit less than 10% of our leads come from Zillow Flex.
Okay. So what we do is we partner with wholesalers, fix and flippers, other investors that, you know, when they find deals that maybe aren't good enough for them to flip, they had been seeing it as garbage. And for us, we're like, I don't see a listing as garbage. I think a listing's awesome. Let's figure something out here. And so we partner with investors locally, and then we also go after distressed, or what we call quick sale clients, because sometimes, you know, people inherit a property. It's not distressed, but they just, you know, if there's 5 siblings, they don't want to like hold on to this property together. So they want to get rid of it. And then
Hold on, it should have taken you directly to, I just listened to it. Hold on, working with Zillow. Oh, there we go.
So right from the first call with Zillow Flex, right, we're going through the script that Zillow has for us. We're setting the appointment. We're asking about other locations. We're asking about their motivation, what piqued their interest about that property. And then we're getting that schedule for them and keeping it as frictionless as possible. What we'll do after that is reach out to the listing agent for whatever property they wanted to see, find out what the compensation is being offered, and then we're going to make another call to that buyer to say, this is what the agent's already offering. The industry has changed. You may have heard, may have seen the news. There's new rules. So technically I need to have an agreement before I can show you any properties. But the good news is the seller is offering this. And so I won't charge you anything extra above what the seller is offering for this property. So I'm going to send you an agreement. Again, it's just required. So I'll send you that through .loop. You'll get an email. If you could just make sure to review that and sign it before we go into the property, I would appreciate it. Again, we just can't see the property until that's signed. So if you have any questions about it, give me a call. But I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 2 p.m. or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And we talked about this. It's interesting. And there's no right or wrong answer. Got to know your customer, and you got to know your value and your ability to close the deal. The way that you're setting that up is kind of perfect with the new EXP forms that we put out, because they are dead simple. They are really easy to understand. If you were trying to do this with very complicated board forms or MLS or state promulgated forms, that might be entirely different. But because we have those easy ones, it gives you this option. Now, there's a lot of agents who you mentioned the Zillow scripting, the ALM, I think is probably what you're referring to, the appointment location motivation, right? And what we've talked about with other agents, they've kind of done the ALMC, right? Appointment, location, motivation. Okay, now that I've set the appointment, I know you're free at Tuesday at 2, so now I'm going to close for the consultation. Why don't you meet me at Starbucks just prior to that? No right or wrong answer. You're doing what you feel your customers really want, and you're setting the appointment, you're getting everything set up, and then you're going and finding out what the seller compensation on these things are going to be, so that you can have that conversation. Just one word of advice for everybody out there, not you guys, but everybody out there: whatever you put in that buyer rep agreement is what you're going to be compensated. So just make sure that the way that these guys are doing it is you're doing your property forms, I believe you said, for a single day with those Zillow folks that are coming in, the Zillow Flex buyers. Is that right?
Yeah, we're giving options. So the agents can do a single day. They can do it for a single property. We're leaving that up to the agent on a case-by-case basis, but giving them the full latitude of what EXP allows to make it as frictionless as possible to get to that first meeting. And then once they're at that first meeting and showing a house, we're training our agents to distinguish themselves by showing value. It's not just opening the door and letting them in. There's a lot more things that we can talk through. For example, if you know it's a hot property and there's going to be multiple offers, you could tell your buyer, hey, this is a really popular property. I looked, it looks like there's a lot of showings on the property. They actually have 2 offers already. If you really like this one, here are some things that we might want to consider when we're rating an offer. What you're communicating is you've been there before, you've done that, you've done your homework, you're bringing additional information that they cannot find on Zillow, they cannot find anywhere else, because you've talked to the listing agent or maybe had some message exchange over text or email and gotten more information. And then you're communicating, in situations like this is what we need to think through. Meaning, I've done this before, you can trust me, like let's walk through this together. So you're communicating value without saying, I've sold 1 million homes or whatever the case may be, right? It's not on the nose, but you're implying and showing them and demonstrating to them that you have value and that you've done this before and you can guide them through in a confident manner.
And part of that is knowing your flash role. So there's a book called Flip the Script that we love, we love it. And one of the things he talks about is that flash role, that 30 seconds to show that you're an expert, right? And how do you create the flash role? Well, one of the exercises we have our team do is, I love phrasing it like this, right? 50 reasons why somebody would be an idiot not to work with you, right? Not like 50 reasons why somebody should work with you. Let's put an emotion behind it. Let's make it extreme, right? Why would they be an idiot not to work with you? And the interesting thing is you can usually go through like 5, maybe a good agent can get through 10. And then it starts getting harder, right? You start getting on Google, like what is good value? But the interesting thing is, by the time you get to 50, your chest pops out, your chin goes up, you walk with swagger, right? And oftentimes we say that sales is just leadership, right? And the best way to lead people, leadership is usually caught more than taught, and if you don't believe it, it's very hard to get somebody else to believe it, to transfer that value proposition, that leadership, that confidence onto them. So if you can start speaking with confidence, then you have your flash role, right? These are the things that we're going to do differently, right? Can you say, hey, our team every year we get people that chooses our offer over one where some does know how to do when we put together an offer package, right? We know agents. So when you're offering against 5 different other offers, we have a great reputation in the area. We are able to get agents to choose our offer over other offers. We also have friendships with agents where they'll tell us, the behind the scenes reasons why a seller is going to take one offer rather than another, so we can craft a compelling offer for you. So like, as you just go down that rabbit hole and help buyers recognize that there is something different about you versus anybody else, then they really are going to feel like they're an idiot if they work with anybody other than you. So like, part of that is the process as well.
And I really like that, because what we're asking here is for them to commit to us. And in such an early days stage of the relationship, you better be able to differentiate yourself very quickly in their eyes. And you talked about one way of differentiation, which was the knowing your stuff. I used to have a friend who would talk about his waiter pitch. Whenever he'd go to tour a home, he was walking and immediately pointing out what was standard, what was builder upgrades for that particular community. And he was pointing out materials. Oh, that flooring is such and such, and it has really high durability. Oh, the HVAC system outside is blah, blah, blah. And I noticed that it was a 2013, so we should be thinking about that. He was just pointing out thing after thing after thing. And they were just blown away by his expertise about the area, which, by the way, especially newer agents, this is why you want to go preview homes. This is why you want to keep an eye on inventory and make sure that you understand, especially in your geo area, the properties. Chris, you mentioned something else too about being able to distinguish yourself. Do you use metrics in talking about the percentage of your offers that get accepted, or what percent under market value you're able to typically get for your buyers? Or are you guys there yet?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on who we're talking to as well, like how deep into it you go. Like, so I'm a big disc profile person. If you're talking to a high D, you're definitely going to want to just talk about the fact that you're going to get it done. You're going to get it done faster. And, kind of almost the Donald Trump, we're great, we're going to get it done, like all of that kind of thing, and, but, for the high I, just that you're in it with them. So you're wanting to read the room, right? High S, this is our process. High C, you can get into the nitty gritty of the details about all of that. But that typically is part of, the response in your flash roll is if you can read the room, you can win there, right? It's just really important to understand what somebody is looking for. And, Brian, me and David were talking about this before we came on. The big problem with a lot of agents is they will speak to, the golden rule. They will give people what they would want, But if I'm a high D, which I am a high D and I'm a high I on the disc profile, so I want it done fast, and I want to do it with my friends, with people that I like. If you start talking to me like I'm a high C, which you start getting into the details, into the weeds, into, just, what kind of screws were used in the frame of the house, man, you've lost me, right? And so that's where it's really important to speak to people the way they want to be spoken to.
Yeah, and I'll add too, Brian, we rely on storytelling heavily, right? So with our flash roll, sometimes we'll just say, oh yeah, we just helped a buyer purchase a property. There were 10 offers on this one. And because I knew that agent, I got the inside scoop, and I was able to give my buyer, hey, if you want this one, this is what it takes to win. I'm not saying this happens all the time, but this did just happen recently for a client of mine. And this is, what I can essentially bring to the table. So storytelling is just so powerful. It evokes the emotion. It's less, the intellect, and more the emotion of, okay, I trust you, I believe you. And now, like, whatever you say, like when you're advising a buyer on what to do to win a multiple offer situation, and they tell you whatever you say, that's a really good place to be. And that's a place where, you have trust, and you have to steward that trust well, because you got to look out for our best interests, right? We want them to win the offer without having to give away too much. And so that's also what we tell our buyers is in the buyer consultation, I want you to win in that multiple offer situation, but I do not want you to overpay. I want to just edge out that next offer without overdoing it to where you're paying $30,000 more than the next person and waiving all your contingencies when there was just one other offer that was below list price with all the contingencies. Like, I want to try to protect you from overpaying and from giving away more than you need to.
And with that, because we have a big team, we always, stories sell. So we say my story is your story because of our group. But here's the cool part about being a part of EXP is, we are in the same network. We're in the same organization with, every single person that comes in has thousands of people in their organization. And so my story is, say, Lars Hedenborg's story, right? Like my story is like somebody else in my organization's story as well. And so we're able to say, when we're talking to, let me tell you about what we just did, what our group just did, what our organization just did. So you don't, if you're a newer agent and maybe you've only worked with 5 people and you don't have all the stories, the fun thing is my story is David's story and David's story is my story.
That's right. And if you are a new agent, be sure you've got a great relationship with your state broker so that you can ask them for those kinds of stats. Your sponsor, if you're a mentee, talk with your mentor, understand EXP in your area and leverage those stats for your listing presentations, for your buyer consultations, and for your marketing too. Guys, we were talking about this concept of 3-tier buyer value proposition, right? And none of us are going to look good in orange jumpsuits. So we're not going to talk about specific commission percentages or dollar amounts, right? But you have a strategy in the way that you're thinking about this in terms of your tiering. So before we jump in and talk about like some of the value that goes into that value proposition, can you talk broadly about the structure and how you're thinking about like your lower tier package versus your higher tier package?
Absolutely. And we're really starting to mirror in our buyer presentation, and we're still building this. We're mirroring in our buyer presentation what we're already doing in our listing presentation. We offer 3 tiers for our listing service, and they come with different things, right? So it's going to have different value. The 1 tier up is going to have everything in the first tier plus these additional things. The 3rd tier is going to have everything in the first 2 tiers plus some additional things and at a different compensation. So our goal is to really serve the buyer in the best way possible. And we're going to do that by giving them multiple options. Now, the lowest tier that we're considering solidifying and rolling out to our team may have some kind of fee on it or percentage with a retainer fee. So there may be an upfront cost, an upfront check that a buyer would have to write upfront. So the agent is essentially getting some certainty that even if this person.
By the way, I'm going to show you guys kind of an example of this. Okay. But you guys are going to have to go back to your broker once you create that to make sure that you are not, that you're in line with your fiduciary duties. Okay. Because if you go, I'll charge 3% for this, and then 2.7 if I do this, and then I'll charge 2.4 if I do this. But if you pay me 2.4%, I'm not going to do this, this, and this. You gotta be really careful. Okay.
Person doesn't close, there's at least some compensation that's being offered and collected for that service. And then
I should say about that, just really quickly before we keep going, because there's going to be some agents who hear that and go, "Ooh, I didn't know I could do that." And the answer is maybe you can, maybe you can't. Make sure you
offered and collected for solidifying and rolling out to our team may have some kind of fee on it or percentage with a retainer fee. So there may be an upfront cost, an upfront check that a buyer would have to write upfront. So the agent is essentially getting some certainty that even if this person doesn't close, there's at least some compensation that's being offered and collected for that service. And then
I should say about that, just really quickly before we keep going, because there's going to be some agents who hear that and go, "Ooh, I didn't know I could do that." And the answer is maybe you can, maybe you can't. Make sure you talk with your state broker about what's allowed in your area before you start trying to do things like this. But go on. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be the lowest tier. On the highest tier, what we're considering doing is offering potentially paying for a buyer's pre-inspection on a home that they want to write an offer on. So in our market, for example, I'm licensed in Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C. And when I'm writing an offer on a property, sometimes it lists on a Thursday and then there's tons of showings and the listing agent will set an offer deadline for Monday at 2 p.m., for example. That gives like Friday, Saturday, Sunday to be able to potentially do a home inspection that allows us to then make a contingency free or an offer on Monday without an inspection contingency because we've already done it. But usually
that is a good strategy. So those of you that are on here know that I talk about this all the time. You have to have a relationship with your inspector. A few of you guys were on the last call, right? It was an inspection. And by the way, Guillermo, if you go to my YouTube page, I'll send it to you. We just had a training on inspections, right? So there's the pre-inspections. He doesn't always recommend it, but in this case, if you are in a multiple offer situation, low inventory, it's like, how do you get leverage with the property before you actually write the offer? But the only way that you can do that, right, is if you show the property and like you show it, you see it on Friday, they don't take offers until Monday. You have to have an inspector that you trust that can come out really quickly and do something like that, even if they don't get the property, right? So
the buyer has
what he's saying is they'll pay for the pre-inspection.
to pay for that out of pocket themselves. At this higher tier, maybe we'll Monday at 2 p.m., for example. That gives like Friday, Saturday, Sunday to be able to potentially do a home inspection that allows us to then make a contingency free or an offer on Monday without an inspection contingency because we've already done it. But usually the buyer has to pay for that out of pocket themselves. At this higher tier, maybe we'll pay for it for them, up to one, maybe two of those, because in our market it's very, very competitive. And so that can be a bigger value for people if they would rather have the certainty that I'll pay on the back end, but I'd rather not pay upfront. And again, this may or may not be needed in somebody else's market, but it also might be pretty important. So that would be the highest tier. And on the mid tier, one of our main value propositions is going to be off-market properties. And that's one of the things that I love about what eXp has built with the office exclusives on Zenless. So that's a big piece of it. And our team is very, very committed to searching for off-market properties in literally dozens of ways, with Zenless and office exclusives being one of them.
And that's one of the biggest keys that we recognized as far as growing our team is if you can understand that sellers, when you meet with them, they want to know that you have a buyer for their property, right? Just being like, oh, I'll put it out there, we'll bring buyers. No. We learned this when, I had a friend where I lost a listing many years ago to some random agent that said, oh, I've got a buyer for your property. And so they went with this other agent because that was it was a powerful marketing tool, right? Well, the buyer didn't happen to want to buy their property. So then they went on the market, but they went with the other person because of that. So sellers want to know you have buyers. And buyers want to know that you have off-market properties, right? What do you have that I can't find on Zillow, that I can't find on Redfin, that I can't find on Realtor.com, right? Like, what are the things that you have that I don't? And so when you can offer that, you have a thing of value that is just so much higher than just about anybody else. And that's one of the things that I love that Leo brought to EXP was just kind of seeing this off-market exclusive option where, and I really do think that as we adopt, this is really part of our responsibility to grow our company that we all own through stock, right? As we adopt this, off-market opportunity here with, Zenlist, we put more onto it, then there'll be more, right? If you build it, they will come. And then we get more opportunities, and more opportunities gives us more value to our buyers and sellers, which gives us more opportunities, right? And so it's this self-perpetuating cycle that I really do hope more of us in our company will take advantage of.
Yeah, no kidding. And for those of you, if you're not familiar, if you go into the EXP's platform and look up EXP exclusives, we offer an off-market listing tool through Zenlist for all EXP agents to be able to put off-market listings on there. Could be that, the seller is a luxury seller, doesn't want people traipsing through their home. Could be a builder, inventory is not yet done. Whatever the case might be, if you've got an off-market listing, put it on EXP exclusives. And as important, probably even more important, is even if you don't have an off-market listing, you need to go get familiar with EXP exclusives. This is a major differentiator for you, as Chris is saying, because you can offer buyers properties that other agents with other firms simply can't because of EXP exclusives. So understand that talk track, be able to talk to it in your buyer consultations and in your initial calls with buyers that you haven't met before. You also talked about some of the things in there, and I want to kind of jump.
I'm gonna pause really quick. Is this helpful for you guys? Awesome. I love it. Okay, so EXP exclusives. Okay, so hi, Michaela. So really, going in and showing your value prop. So before he goes into that, I just kind of want to touch on some things. So we talked about, when you walk into a property, obviously, like Michaela just hopped on and she's in Colorado, but she doesn't have to have anybody show. She doesn't have to have somebody sign, right, to get into the house. But if they start talking about confidential information, that kind of thing, you have to. This is why walking in and having some sort of stats, even if it's like 1 or 2 pages, right, saying, here is my value prop. By the way, what I was just thinking is having some sort of, and I'll put it together, is some sort of form that says 5 ways to get your offer accepted in a low inventory market, right? 5 ways to get your offer accepted in a multiple offer or low inventory market, and say, hey, I wanted to give this to you. I don't know if you know that we're in, in our area. If you are, there's low inventory. So you could talk to him about a lot of things, right? But he just talked about your flash, what did he call it? Flash roll. Your flash roll is the 30-second pitch that shows your value. So if you have something that has your branding on it and says, you say, hey, thank you so much for, looking around, are you aware of the 5 things that you can do to get an offer accepted in a low inventory or multiple offer market? And they're like, no. Do you think any other agent is going to be having that conversation with them? Probably not. You pull your paper out and you say, hey, just want to let you know, this is what's happening in this market. And I'd love to just do you have 5 minutes? Hey, do you have 5 minutes so I can go over this with you? And boom, 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 right? So it's like you're dating them, right? And showing them like, hey, here's my tools. These are my assets, right? And this is what I can do for you. I am the expert, okay? So one is you want to have that. The other thing is have something like stats, okay? And then I'm going to show you, if you have some sort of real estate resume, you can have 2 things. You don't have to give everybody you talk to 10 different things, right? You can give them something like that that's different and it's a value prop, okay? Like, 5 things you need to do to get your offer is accepted. Okay. Then you can give your real estate resume. And in your real estate resume, I'm going to show you, and you can say, here's 5 reasons why you should choose me. Kind of like what he was saying, like, here is 10 reasons you would be an idiot if you didn't choose me, right? And one of them is Zenless, off-property, off-market properties. Or if you're on a team, I'm on a team, or I'm with a company that has 90,000 agents and we have a lot of relationships in this area. Or, you know what, this is my expertise. This is my area. So having like more than anything, marketing is so important these days.
Jump in. When you're talking about your buyer value proposition, just in general, so obviously, you know, because of the fact that you guys are off-market listing specialists, right? You're looking for those distressed sellers. That's a cool thing that you bring to the table. Now, not everybody specializes in that, but I'll say this too, because you talked about how your listings tend to generate a ton of buyers. We as agents, especially when it's a tight inventory market and listings sell pretty quickly, we tend to think maybe I'll quote unquote save on my listing marketing. I think that's completely wrongheaded. I think even if your listing goes under contract, pending is not the same as sold. And you have a fiduciary obligation to your seller to continue to market that property. You also have an obligation to your business to continue to market that property as well and get as many buyers as possible. But I want to dig in just a little bit. If I'm a buyer and I'm hesitant to sign your buyer rep agreement, right? What's the value proposition? What's compelling? You mentioned a few things, but go a little further. Why would I want to sign with you guys versus somebody else?
David, do you want to hit it or you want me to hit it?
Go for it, Chris. And I'll layer on.
Okay. Yeah. So if we're talking, Brian, what, you know, the reality is we need to see this conversation like we see listings, right? Because when you sit down at the kitchen table with somebody for a listing appointment, you are discussing why they should hire you. In the past, and I'll just be honest, a lot of buyer agents that I've talked to, their value proposition is, maybe you probably like me and I'm free. Somebody else pays for it, right? Like that's it. And I've heard it. And honestly, it wasn't a bad pitch, right? It wasn't, but that's not the new pitch and it doesn't work anymore. And so what I want to hear what they're looking for, but here's what I would just say if we're just in a vacuum without me asking questions to find out a little bit more.
You guys want, and you have your cell phones, turn on recording on your cell phone. If you're not on your cell phone, and you can record this section, right? It's like, you have to make it in your own words, but you have to be able to, like he said, articulate this.
More about your specific, point of view and desires. I would just say, hey, look, Brian, the reality is this house that we're discussing right now, there's going to be multiple offers on this house. And the reality is we have won many, many times with multiple offers where our offer is not even the highest in cash. And the reason why is because we know how to craft an offer that sellers are looking for. We have a great reputation in the area where people know that we're going to get to the closing table because they trust our reputation. We know how to find the things that sellers are looking for to help you win. And if this ends up not being the house that you decide to work with, here's what else we know how to do. We find buyers off-market opportunities all the time, properties that you will not find anywhere else on the MLS because they're just not out there. Like this house that you called us on, at one point in time, they were thinking about selling before they went on the market, and you probably could have bought it at a price way less than whoever wins this is going to have to buy it in multiple offers. And we're able to find properties like that for you. And we do it in multiple ways. But the reality is, if you work with us, we are going to help you get the best value at the best price. And we're going to help you win when other people are trying like maybe 5, 6, 7 times and not winning on these multiple offer options. And we're going to get you to the finish line in the home of your dreams.
Which is exactly what they want. David, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say it really depends at what stage they're bringing up that hesitation. If it's over the phone and you've only had one previous conversation, that's a one story. If it's after an hour and a half long buyer consultation, that's another story, right? If they're hesitant after that hour and a half, you've missed the mark on either understanding what their needs are or communicating your value proposition up to that point for that whole hour. So if it's that point, then you've already probably lost, and there's probably not a way to recover it. But I would probably ask, oh, okay, like that totally makes sense. Sounds like, you're thinking we may not be a good fit,
All right, I want to pause there and I want to bring something up. So when people go into listing presentations, oftentimes they're there for 2 hours. Okay. So they go in and they're like, oh, hey, show me around, blah, 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 blah. And they don't take control of the conversation, right? So your value proposition should not be an hour and a half, right? This goes back to where I've been teaching you guys, show them, not tell them. I'm a D as well, and I'm a DI. And if you tell me all the ways that you're great, like after the first or second one, I'm like, whatever, like I want to see it, right? Like I want you to send me something. And my thing is, if you're on the phone with them and somebody calls, I'm actually going to stop my share for a minute. So if you're on the phone with someone and they call and they say, hey, I want to see this property, blah, blah, blah. I was referred to you. You know what I would do? Well, first of all, I would get in your CRM. Okay. So if you guys have a CRM that's free, which you do if you're with EXP, and if you're with EXP, you should be using your CRM. Okay. And what you need to do is take the things that I'm sending you today and upload them into your CRM. Okay. You guys get all these texts from me, right? All these texts from me. You get lots of texts from me. Everything is in my CRM. So if somebody goes, hey, Tanya, I want something, I want a listing, something, boom. I'm on the phone with a recruit. Hey, I'm interested in EXP. I'm like, oh, really? While I'm on the phone with these people, Dee Dee knows this. I go, hey, check your text right now. There's a video and there's a PDF there. I'm showing my value right away. And if they're talking to 10 other brokerages, I'm going to guarantee you not one of them did what I did, because everyone's going to tell them what they can do for them. They're not going to show them what they could do for them. Okay. So in this case, when you put together these resources, look, you guys don't have to put together 100 resources. Okay. I would say put together 3 to 5 things that show your value proposition. And while you're talking to them, I would send them your real estate resume that's pretty, like on Canva, right? Oh, hey, I just sent you my real estate resume, and I also sent you a video that's a face with the name. I would recommend that instead of sending a face with the name 30-second video, okay, because what you guys could do is you could record a video on your phone, upload it to a YouTube channel. Even if you don't have your YouTube channel marketed and everything, every one of you should have a YouTube channel, even if it's not running. You take that video and you send it to YouTube, or if it's 30 seconds, you just put it in your phone under real estate videos and you just send it. But it's hard to send a video and a PDF at the same time. Okay. But I would send either the video or a link. And then you would say face with the name video, and it's unlisted in your YouTube channel. And you just say, hey, here's a face with the name. And then you say, I would love to earn your business, and here's my real estate resume. Boom. And then that gets the conversation started. And then if they want more information, what I would do is I would even go one step further, and we're going to talk about these resources here. I would send them the video, like 5 things that buyers need to know in this market. How do I get my like we're going to go over the scripts, and all the scripts is how do I choose a buyer's agent? And guess what? I simplified it. And I'm actually going to make a video on every single one of those. Guess what? I'm going to upload it in my scripts. And the minute I'm talking to a buyer, how do I get this? Well, you know what? That's actually a really great question. Here are the 3 things, but I'm going to send you a video so you can kind of digest it a little bit later, right? The thing is how do you show your value prop in I love that word, flash roll. No one else is going to do that. No one else is going to send a video. And statistics show that if they can connect with you, they're going to do business with you. Make sense? Okay. So I sent this video to you all. I'm gonna have you watch the rest on your own, but I want to show you the tools that I've created for you. Can I get a thumbs up? Can you guys tell me, is this good? What's helpful? What's helpful right now? Like, 2 seconds. What's helpful? What has been helpful so far, thus far?
The tiers of the value, top tier, middle tier, all those things that you can include and customize it to yourself. I love that.
Okay, I actually have a template for you guys. Okay. But I'm going to tell you, when I show you this template, you're going to have to do your own research and figure out what your value prop is and what the tiers are. Because there is you can, there's a fiduciary duty that you have. You got to be really careful. Okay. So it could be in violation of your fiduciary duty. And so you need to actually go and talk to your broker. Okay. So let me show you these resources. Michaela, how are you doing? Are you there? What's been helpful so far? I know you're on a team, so you're probably getting information overload.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry figuring out some things, but I mean,
It's okay.
I haven't been able to hear the whole thing.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
I would love to
I'm
hear
gonna give
the
you
tiers though. I think sorry,
go ahead.
whatever Dee mentioned about the tiers, I think that would be for sure. I didn't get to see it, but
Okay, I'm going to show you actually. So actually, I need to go back into Canva because I have this all set up like 30 minutes before, and then I go to my computer and it just shuts down. Okay, so here are some of the tiers. Okay. So this is what I did. So I did not create this. Okay. I'm in a coaches leadership group, and many of you guys know I'm in a leadership group with the top real estate agents in the country every Thursday. And this is a resource that we found. Okay. So one is, what did I tell you guys earlier? The agent that can articulate the changes and be able to have conversations around this are the ones that are going to win. Okay. By the way, this is my new brand. How do you guys like it? Life Reset Properties. I didn't want to have a Tanya Van Rickley brand because I'm building a global team and I have 41 people underneath me. And I want my team to say, hey, can I use your brand? Sure. Go ahead. You can use it. I don't care. So, or you can use Grow. Okay. So real estate representation. So this is just understanding it, going over this and talking to your buyers about this, especially if they're a D or an I, they're like, I don't care about that. I just want to know how much I'm getting paid. Right. But what I like about this is it's easy to understand. Okay. So here's buyer compensation. This is actually great. I like this. I want you guys, again, I'm going to give you these and I want you to put your name and your branding, and I want you to go through it meticulously and make sure the wording is good with your state. Okay. How are buyers compensated? Right. So when you sit down with them, just say, go over this. However, when we first started this video, this meeting, he was working with Zillow Flex leads. And basically what he did is he called the seller he called the agent beforehand and said, hey, is the seller willing to, compensate a buyer's agent? Yes. And then they talked about it. So then he called the person back and said, hey, just want to let you know, I'm happy to show you this home. And I'm also, wanted to inform you that the seller is willing to pay my compensation. So that means that is nothing to you out of pocket. Okay. So you don't even have to have this conversation, right? This isn't a conversation that you need to have right away where you scare the hell out of them. You actually need to be calling, we talked about this from the beginning anyways. If you're a buyer's agent and you're writing an offer on a property, you're going to want to call them and say, hey, I have a buyer that's very motivated, conventional loan or FHA, they can close in 30 days, whatever, 20% down, 3.5% down. Like they are, the motivation is a 10. What do I need to do? How do I'm getting ready to send the offer. Is there anything that I need to know that's important to your seller, right? So that was the conversation before any of this happened. But now you can say, is the buyer willing to pay a buyer's agent's compensation? Okay. Success fee. It's called a success fee, okay? But this is good, right? The seller is offering compensation to the buyer's agent. The seller is offering some compensation, but not at all, because that's the other thing. A lot of people are like, if I put that I'm getting 3% from the buyer's agent, can I get less? Yes, you can. You can't get more, but you can get less. Okay. But there are options where maybe the seller says, you know, I'm going to pay $5,000 in concessions, but there needs to be, obviously, if your fees 2.4, 2.7, or 3, where's the rest going to come from? You literally can go through it, and you could be like the seller's pitching in, you're pitching in, and the buyer's pitching in. So there's so many ways that this can happen. It's going to get ugly. Let's just say it that way. So you want to use your brokers for these, okay? Option 3 is the seller's not offering any compensation to the buyer's agent, okay? So I'm not going to go through this. I would just want to show you guys resources. You guys need to take these back and make them your own, okay? So why you should consider offering a buyer's compensation when selling a home, okay? So this is for your listing packet, okay? Your real estate adventure services we provide, buyer's agreement and stuff, but this is the one you guys were looking at, okay? So I will show you I'm only going to give this one to you, but I'm going to show you the other one, and you're welcome to take a photo of it, okay? Because these are filled in here. So what they were saying was, here in the gold package is maybe something that they're going to do. By the way, I'm getting together with my team on Thursday to figure out, like, how can we maximize this? Like, how can we show value without violating our fiduciary duty? Okay. So in the gold packet, what this gentleman was saying is, what they'll do is say, we'll pay for a pre-inspection. So remember, the inspector was saying, we'll do a 5-point inspection if you just want a quick inspection, those kinds of things. But then they're saying they'll waive the inspection. But I don't think you necessarily, I would never encourage anybody to waive an inspection. But what you could do is say, we've already done a pre-inspection and it looks pretty good. So what are the chances of it moving forward from there, right? Because they're going to look at the major things. So she has here 3%, 2.5, 2.4, right? But let me actually go back to the original. Again, this is being recorded, so I don't get myself in trouble. Is this the original? Here's the original. Michaela, can you hear this? Are you tracking all this? Let me see. Let me go back.
Yes, I'm tracking.
What was that?
I said, yes, I'm tracking.
Okay, good. And so, hold on, let me see. I think this is it. Oh, it looks like I might have, I'll show you the actual, like, I was making sure I was covering my butt here, you guys, to make sure that I didn't send you something that's going to get me in trouble. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I'll go to Tracy's too, and I'll look. Hold on. So this one says 2.7. This one says 2.4. Okay, let me actually find it. I'm going to find it from Tracy. And I think it's right here. Tracy friends, no, let me stop this really quick. Let me go here. I don't need you guys to see all of my emails, but I can show you what she's offering. Okay, and then we'll go over, and then I'm not going to go into super detail because, again, this is, let's see, Tracy's copy of representation agreement. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to show you what she has. I'm going to go back here, down here. All right. I'm going to share this. Share. Here you go. So you can take a picture of it. Okay. So, like, see, Tracy's is a little different. I went and I changed mine. So this is hers. So basically, everything in this package is information sent to title and lender for processing. Like, I mean, to me, like, what does that mean to the buyer? I'm just like, I would not put that. Assistance with earnest money. Of course, you're going to assist them with that. Premier service provider list for inspectors, appraisal upgrade and feature packet, buyer need mailers to send to desired area, utility information, inclusion of 1-year warranty. 2 is everything in package 1, plus attendance at the property inspections, coordination and scheduling, oversight of repair verification, review of closing documents, attendance at closing with you, weekly what's new email. And then she put 2.4 as get ready for consultation, set up home search, schedule home showings, contract writing, contract negotiation, contract status only, document sharing for your records, and final walkthrough. So she did this really fast the other day. I'm just saying, the good news is there's this like, tier where you just have to figure out what goes in the middle. One thing that I want to inform you guys of, okay, this is why I think this is in violation of the fiduciary duty, is if your buyer says that they're going to pay you and they're going to pay you at closing, okay, and they get to closing and something happens with the lender and they needed to come in with more money, like somebody missed something or something happened with maybe they, needed to pay something off or something, and your buyer does not have the money to pay you, you cannot halt that sale. You get that? You cannot say, well, I guess this buyer can't have this home. You actually have to let that buyer close and you probably won't get paid, okay? So what I'm saying is you got to do a lot of your due diligence up front, like how much money do you have, and like do you have money set aside in case something happened, those kinds of things, or what do your finances look like. But I'm telling you right now, you can't halt a sale if the buyer says it's not going to happen very often, okay? But a lot of times you have these lenders that, whatever underwriting misses something and they have to come in with 3,000 more or 4,000 more kind of thing. And if they were going to pay you with that money, you're going to have to halt the sale. You can't halt the sale. Okay. So let's go back to these resources here. Okay. So the buyer toolkit, you guys are all EXP, so I'm going to show you this. I'm going to send this to you so you guys have all the links. Okay. Everybody's like, where do I find this stuff? Even me, I was like, where do I find all this crap? Right. So we have the buyer toolkit here, which this buyer toolkit is the first place you need to go. I am going to watch it too. Here's the recording. These are the downloaded slides. This is articulating your value. This right here is your hub. Okay. So there's the buyer toolkit. Okay. Then I just found this listing management checklist, which I really liked. Okay. So that's there. Then there's this buyer activity checklist, which I really loved. And that's also that's somewhere in the world and somewhere in the workplace, but I put it all in one place. This video here is so good. If you have not watched this video, there's a whole section on interest rates that talks about showing the value of, hey, the interest rates went down, but this is what it means for the life of the loan. This is what it means in your monthly payment, rather than, hey, interest rates went down. Isn't that really cool? Then here is practicing your tips. This right here, I loved. Have you guys seen this? The 4 principles and the do's and don'ts of dialogues. This is great because it's literally set out exactly like this. Every page is like 2 squares and it basically says, don't read their minds. And then it says do's and don'ts, offering seller concessions. Don't do this, but do this. It's really good. So then I'm going to give you access to all of these. These are the buyer scripts. If you guys haven't seen, has anyone seen these? So what I did with these buyer scripts, they're awesome. Why should I hire an agent? There's all these bullet points, but what I did is I actually took these and I put them in ChatGPT and I condensed them. And guess what? I'm making a video out of every one of them, because how are you going to remember a script that long? Right? And then this is a buyer handbook that we created for you guys. And then this just goes back to your real estate workbook in those resources. Okay. So it's 10 o'clock. Is this helpful for me to just kind of condense it all for you guys? It's overwhelming. It's constantly
It's a huge
changing.
gift. It's a huge gift, Tanya. Most of us don't even have time to review one video. You just put everything together for us in a one-stop shop. We have no excuse.
I'm trying because
Just
even I'm feeling overwhelmed and unorganized. So what I'm going to do is I'm making a binder, okay, so that I can read it, because these are the types of things you need to read. And when you're on the phone, you need to be like, oh shoot, I'm writing an offer. How do I ask for concessions? Those kinds of things. Okay. So I would say this is where you need to focus. Okay. Focus on these key resources and make sure that you are in your meetings with your broker. Okay. That is critical because they're going to let you know about the recent updates, because there can be some changes. Guess what? In 6 months, this could all go away and business is back to usual. Because I think this is going to create more lawsuits, because this is like you're dating somebody and you're like, hey, you're cute. You want to get married? Hey, here's my resume, even though you haven't seen my credit report, right? Like, just look at here's my social profiles. Don't I look perfect? Look at all my photos. But let's get married. That's pretty much what they're asking us to do, right? So I think it's going to get ugly and it's probably going to go back to normal. So, I will send you guys these resources. Text me if you need anything. Okay. Do not give up, you guys. Okay. There's a lot of people that are going to give up right now, but you have me, you have Chris, you have everyone that's giving you all these resources. The coaches leadership group, all of our grow people, they're making things for you. What you're getting here, you're not getting in other places.
Tanya, let me ask you a question, if I may. I'm new at all this, right? And I think is better, or is good for the real estate business what's going on within our, because what I've seen before I became a realtor is that you have a lot of real estate people that don't do anything for their money. So why should they be paid? Why shouldn't they be people like you guys that
Yep.
take the time, the effort to give value proposition to the buyer or the seller to be with you, because it is very easy to go to a seller and say, okay, don't worry about it, buyer. I've been paid by him, and the buyer's not doing anything at all. It's not doing the effort to gain the client, to really see what's the state of the house, because she's thinking he already won the commission. So I hope it doesn't go back, because
No,
what I
don't think
want is to
it
be
goes back.
and I'm sorry that I'm new and I'm crude about it. I'd rather have just few realtors that are really good than a million that are mediocre.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Thank you for bringing that up. We need to be better and we need to be able to show our value prop. And especially if we're representing, a lot of us have had terrible realtors, right? And that's part of the reason why we got in the business. Because you're like, wait a minute, you just got $10,000 check and you did what? Right? But this is going to help people up their game. Okay. So I think this is all good, but because nobody can interpret it and it's all confusing, I'm hoping that it goes back and it's simplified, right? That there's a more simplified process. But change is good. There's not enough business. Well, there is enough business, because here's the deal. If you guys look at your active pendings and solds just within 5 miles of your house, thousands of listings, thousands under contract, and thousands sold. There's a lot of business to go around. However, with this, we are going to get more market share, because you're not going to have the person that's like, sure, I'll write that up, and they have no idea. Like, this is the biggest investment of anybody's life, right? This is their wealth. This is their could be their legacy, right? Their home. So you're right, Guillermo, I like the changes. Nobody likes them now because they're just so confusing, right? Because every state's different and it's changing day by day. But what's really great is you guys get to show up professionally and show your value prop and show that, you know what, this is why you should hire me. And the fact that you guys are just showing up to classes and being engaged is perfect, right? And Dee Dee knows all too well. She was in a low and she was like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know if this is for me. And then we talked and she just stuck with it. Now she's getting referrals and that kind of thing. So we just have to stick with it. So Deidre, stick with it. Okay. Michaela, oh man, Michaela was in a low too, right? Michaela, like in the beginning, she was a little overwhelmed and then she got her stride, didn't you? Tell us about your stride.
Yeah, I did. I actually have some good news for you. But yeah, I mean, I finally joined the team, and I think just finding your rhythm, you know, being an
I love
entrepreneur,
it. Do you want to hear,
that's
do you want to
half
share?
of the
I don't know if the
job.
good news is for all of us, but it might be encouraging. And then you and I will have a private conversation.
Yeah, well, so we do Zillow Flex, but we also, I mean, you can have someone randomly contact you on Zillow. And there's a guy who's PCSing to Colorado Springs, and he's interviewing agents. And there's another agent who's been doing this for a really, really long time. And I actually beat him out. The guy wants to work with me instead of the other guy. So that gave me a lot of reinforcement.
And Michaela, how old are you again? 24?
24 in November.
23 years old, new agent within 1 year. Okay. So if I have so many young agents that are like, how do I show my value prop? Like I'm like a child, you know, like I'm new to this. Who's going to want to buy with me? And people love new agents. They like the innovation. They like people that are showing up. So it has nothing to do with your age. It has everything to do with how are you showing up. And Michaela shows up and you all show up. So all right, I love it. Okay, you guys, reach out if you need anything. I'm just going to compile this a little bit more. I'm going to send it all on email. And then Guillermo, I just connected you with Chris Nolan, so you can have a new mentee or mentor.
Thank you.
And you guys stick with it, okay?
All right.
Make
Thank
sure
you so much.
Oh, here's the other thing. I'm gonna encourage you one last thing before I leave. Every single one of you should be taking a contracts class, even if it's $35 or brokers in your area are putting on these contracts class for free. Go take the contracts class because it's the new contract. That is the best investment you can give yourself. I took 2 of them and I'm still confused. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I need to take a third. So anyways, if you need anything, let me know. And I appreciate you all. And Leslie, so good to see you too. All right, you guys, have a good day.
Hey, Tanya, can I add one little thing? When you guys are doing agent attraction, please reach out to Tanya. The one that I just did had amazing words to say about Tanya. And it closed the deal. And we're there, we're at that point. So just reach out to Tanya if you have any questions because it helped me incredibly. So thank you, Tanya, for that. That was an
Thank you.
amazing
Let me
thing you
add to
did.
that. Like people are asking you, oh, how do you get into EXP? Do you like
Yes.
EXP? You don't need to overwhelm the crap out of them. Okay. What you need to do is say, you know what? I love EXP for this reason. And here's why all my friends, and it may be a good fit for you. Let me 3-way text you with my coach or my business partner. She can help you. And then I'll get on and show them. Don't scare them away. Just be like, hey, talk to my business partner, but here's why I love it. And here's why we love it. And then now you guys can end up getting rev share. And like, I mean, even stock, like our group in Colorado, Michaela and all of I were like, okay, look at your stock. They're like, how do I open my stock? Oh my gosh, I got stock in a company, you know? And it's so cool to see that our group is already getting rev share. There's 21-year-olds that are already getting rev share, stock, 23-year-olds. It's so cool. So Michaela, speaking of that, we need to have a Pueblo event. And I'm ready to do that when you guys are ready. But I'm not ready unless you guys are ready.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we should. We need to talk about it.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, you guys are awesome. Go get it.